All right.
I always perform.
What are we doing?
I don't know. So, what was I talking about that I said I was going to hold the joke off of until we started filming?
About my pud always falling out?
Oh, right. Yes. So, I fucking hate it when I wake up in the morning and you're wearing normal boxers that this shouldn't happen, but your dick is like hanging out of the slot. You know what I mean? It's like it's parted the Red Seas of your boxers and it's just hanging out there. Sometimes it's got full chub, sometimes you got half chub because it's the morning. Can you relate to this, or am I just looking like an idiot?
I sleep naked.
Okay. Let's move on.
So, all right. So did you, by any chance, look at any topical events?
Yes.
Or are we just going to start with Star Wars?
It's off the cuff. We're doing it off the cuff.
I looked up some stuff.
What did you look up? I'm kind of curious.
I looked up the
other than porn
stuff happening with Twitch where... so you remember in... I forget which podcast it was. I talked about that article about the guy talking about how Frozen and everyone demanding that she be written in as a lesbian.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of more of that stuff with Twitch where Twitch fans are demanding streamers to do this and that, and that's not okay and all that. So
is that what you got?
That's what I got. And then there was something.
Listen here, assholes of the internet. Soapbox time?
Soapbox? Like the derby?
When there are content creators that make content for what they want to do, you don't have any say about it, and that's cool. That's what it should be like. So suck it up, move it along, quit being a bitch, quit being a pussy.
Are we ready to talk about Star Wars?
I'm ready. I'm really
All right, before we discuss anything else,
yeah,
we should turn off that TV in my living room.
You don't want Archer in the background?
I do not, and I just realized that it's happening. But we're gonna leave it in.
Lana!
Nope, that's my dildo.
Oh god, it's so massive. Why is it 13 inches?
I don't know what it is, but I've been burping so much today. Apologies.
You apologize?
To the people listening that I just burped in their face. Alright, so why did Luke appear to Kylo Ren at the end of the movie? Whoa. Spoiler alert.
We're gonna talk about The Last Jedi. If you haven't seen it and you're gonna go see it, don't watch this video.
The memes are already out. You know how terrible it is. So let's get it started. All right. So why did he appear to Kylo Ren with a blue lightsaber? I'm going to let you try to defend this if that is what you want.
I got nothing on that one.
All right. So here's why that is dumb as fuck. So not only someone tried to tell me that the reason he appeared to Kylo Ren that way is because that was what he looked like the last time Kylo Ren saw him.
So I agree with that statement on that part. So the last time Ren would have seen Luke Skywalker, that's what he did look like. However,
but he didn't have Anakin's lightsaber last time he saw him.
No.
And in only flashbacks, why did he not have his lightsaber? Did his lightsaber just like explode?
What do you mean?
Luke never had his lightsaber besides in the flashbacks.
Oh, he doesn't use it. He doesn't. In the whole movie, he doesn't identify as a Jedi anymore
until he is holding a lightsaber in front of Kylo Ren.
But that's not him.
Yes, but that's not even the dumbest part. Well, yeah, but my point is the argument is that he appeared to Kylo Ren the last time he saw him, but the last time he saw him, he would have had a green lightsaber.
So I think he had a blue lightsaber because it's so iconic. It was Anakin's lightsaber. It's iconic, and Ren knew that Rey had it. So Luke did in Kylo's mind, Luke came back carrying the weapon that was taken to him.
Okay. So let me tell you why that's not right. Alright?
Okay.
Kylo Ren, with his own eyeballs, saw that he broke the fucking lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Luke... The first thing... I'm sitting in the movie theater, I no shit was looking around. I was like... Did Does no one notice that he has the broken... when he walks up, the first thing I looked at was his belt. And on his belt was dangling Anakin's lightsaber. That makes Kylo Ren look like the biggest dipshit ever.
Well, you could also say that the fact that Luke never left footprints on the salt land...
that's more understandable, though, that he's, like, mad, so he's not paying attention to that. But when the lightsaber comes out, and it's fucking blue, and there's only 3 lightsabers in the galaxy right now... What the fuck is that?
I don't have the answer to that one.
That was dumb. That was the dumbest part of the entire movie, and it pissed me off. So, we can talk about the rest of it. Oh, and I've seen it twice. The second time I watched it, Finn and Rose accomplished absolutely nothing throughout the whole movie. Did not notice that the first time. Every objective they were given...
They didn't do it, yeah.
And what was Benicio del Toro? One of the greatest living actors. Just fucking fuck all. That's all he was. He just was there, and then he was gone... And everything in that movie is just...
A lot of people say that the scenes in Canto Blight, which is the casino scenes with Guillermo del Toro, or not Guillermo del Toro, but Benicio del Toro, and Finn and Rose, they could have been taken out of the film, and it would have still been the same film. However...
Yeah, no, most definitely.
I'm going to spin another tale.
All right.
So, the movie really plays on the aspect of gaining hope again after losing it. It's very much a dark film in the same vein that Empire Strikes Back was a dark film. However...
it was not dark. No one died. Who died? The fucking grunts at the beginning that no one knew the names of?
What you talking about? Nobody died.
Nobody died. That was important.
In Last Jedi?
Yeah.
The Last Jedi died in The Last Jedi.
You gave a fuck Luke died at the end?
Well, yeah.
Why?
Because it's Luke Skywalker.
What did he do in the movie?
It's not about what he did in this movie. It's about what he created. Like,
but he could have. If he was dead in the movie, it wouldn't have made a difference in the movie.
It would have.
What did Rey learn from Luke?
Everything.
Like what?
She stole the Jedi books.
She did not.
Yeah, she did.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, they're in the Millennium Falcon.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, she did.
What?
Yeah, she took the text. Instead of what Luke thought they were destroyed, she had them in the Millennium Falcon at the very end.
Well, who cares?
No,
wait. But she didn't learn that from Luke. She could have gone to the island and found those books.
So what she learned, I agree that he kind of pushed her away for most of the film, but she did end up learning
from the island.
Yeah, and from...
Which he didn't need to be there for.
From him, though.
What did he do? He put her hand on a rock.
But he walked... Well...
She could have done that on her own.
I don't know. So, I like the film. I do. I did like the movie.
So many... There's so much... The biggest issue with the film is that... Explain to me how we are anywhere further with any of the characters than we were with Force Awakens. If this movie just didn't exist in general, are we anywhere different than the way Force Awakens ended?
Yeah. We're definitely further away.
So what's different about Kylo Ren?
He's now, he did the one thing that Darth Vader could never do, which was defeat his master. He's now taken full control over...
No, I'm talking about his mind, his state of mind, his goals, his, like, character. What has changed?
Everything about him. He's no longer a puppet. He's now in charge.
What does he want?
To take over.
Take over what?
Everything.
Why?
Because that's the one thing that his goal was.
What did he want at the end of Force Awakens?
To get away from the pull he had to the light side at the end of it.
But he did that. That's
when he killed Han Solo.
Well, it continues. His arc was that he was in turmoil.
You can say that, but at the same time, a character's arc doesn't diverge drastically like that. It continues, and this is only the second part of a trilogy.
Their goals, but it's like, so let's take the original trilogy for example. In Empire Strikes Back, Luke is completely different by the end of that film. He is tenacious and young at the beginning. He finds out
he's
Darth Vader
defeated,
is and then he gets defeated, and then he's like, all right, I need to stop being a child or whatever. So when he comes back in Return of the Jedi, he is now a composed
So
Jedi
take
Knight.
that arc, take that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kylo Ren at the beginning of The Last Jedi was defeated. He was beaten down. His own master was like, I don't even believe in you anymore, right? So by the time the middle of the film happens and Snoke himself is going, you've redeemed yourself. I'm back on team Kylo Ren as, you're my apprentice.
Which didn't make sense because according to Snoke, he's the one that did it in the first place.
What do you mean? Oh, he connected them two.
He did not. That's what the end of the film was for.
What do you mean?
When she's closing the thing, the link is still there. Snoke didn't link their minds.
So you think there's something deeper than that?
If Snoke linked their minds, Snoke would have been able to show their surroundings.
Well, didn't he say that he didn't want that to happen? He only wanted them to see each other.
No, he didn't talk about it. Oh. He just said, I'm the one that linked it. Are you an idiot? And then he said that basically he was saying I orchestrated this entire thing. So why would he?
Well, of course the bad guy would take all the credit for everything.
And he died way too quick. He died so quick. We know nothing about him. The Knights of Ren.
We don't have to know anything about him. What did we know about the Emperor in the original trilogy before the prequels came out? Absolutely nothing.
Well, we knew his plans. I still don't know what the fuck the First Order's goal is.
It's to take over.
Then what?
It's to rule the galaxy, just like the Empire did.
Cliche villain. The Empire wanted to change the way the world worked. Not just take over, but they wanted to change the government. They wanted to change how everything was run.
Which is exactly what the First Order wants.
They have not said that. They've said that they've taken over everything and everyone's fucking miserable, but they haven't said that Snoke's goal was to change the... What was it?
Neither was Palpatine's, though.
We have no background information of how the government was before the First Order showed up.
And that's Disney's fault. Disney wants so badly to be a combination of, hey, you got to do your research, you got to see the books, you got to read the comic books, you got to play the video games, you got to do this and that and that. And it doesn't lay it out in a way that's easy for people to consume.
Yeah. They tossed Finn aside in this movie.
You think so?
Most definitely.
I think it showed... no, his character development was much better.
So when I watched it the second time, I played a really close attention. Rose takes charge the entire time, which was...
Until the very end.
Well, which was... I'll talk about that in a second. Which was very we want her to be a strong female character right off the bat, but in reality... Story-wise, Finn should have shown her
but that's
he
not...
was who he was, because he was a coward in the first movie, and
he's a coward in the second film.
Why?
Because
his character arc was that he decided not to run in the end of the first movie, and then immediately in the first one,
it didn't show that he didn't want to run.
No, he wasn't really a coward at the beginning, but then she just takes over and tells him, do this, do that. It's Finn is more experienced than she is at this point.
How?
She is literally someone that works on the ship.
But so was Finn. He was a janitor.
But then Finn had an adventure. And then in the first film, Rey tells Finn what to do.
Yeah.
Because Rey is stronger than he is. Yeah. But they both started from point A and got to point B. Rose starts at point A and goes to point A. They start her off, they want her to be, literally, even the way they pose her for when she shocks Finn is I'm important. Because I don't know if you've heard, but apparently she's going to be the main character for the next film.
I don't know about that.
I don't think J.J. Abrams is going to allow that.
I'm interested to see what they go back on.
J.J. Abrams was in the room when they wrote the... So here's my other issue, and maybe this is why I'm so biased about not liking the movie. The original 3 writers are writers. They don't just write the first film and don't think about what the future of where their characters are going to go. The flashbacks were important, and we completely abandoned it in this movie.
What do you mean flashbacks?
Why were there 3 guys cornering a little child in the rain? Why did Rey see that? Why was that significant? Yeah. What is the Knights of Ren? Still have no idea. Even in this movie, they're Kylo Ren took a bunch of kids that know how to use the Force. Fuck knows where they are. It's just
Well, it's implied that those became the Knights of Ren, but they don't go any further into it.
That's what I'm saying. But
so
if they wanted this whole thing to break the trilogies, and have something different happen. They should have had the best setup they had from Force Awakens was to have Kylo Ren switch over to the light side. And in order to do that, they needed to show that the Knights of Ren were the bad kids of the group at the Jedi Academy. But when it came down to it, Rey is actually Kylo Ren's brother or sister. And then when they corner him, he decides to kill the Knights of Ren to protect her. But he still, Snoke has his hooks in him. They explain why, for whatever reason. Snoke has his hooks in him. And then, when they start linking their minds or whatever, and he realizes it's her, that exploits his weakness even further. So when they talk or whatever, he could have come to the light side, and then Snoke shouldn't have died. Snoke should have turned out to have the other kids, and they could have been Sith. Then you would have had something different happen.
The problem with that is that Snoke's not Sith.
But they implied heavily.
Not even in The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams said there's no Sith.
I know J.J. Abrams said that, but why in this movie did he say, I'm a master? He said that.
He's Kylo's master, but he's not Sith. Neither of them are Sith. He
implied the rule of two was in effect, in my opinion. But, I don't know,
even in, like, the...
that's because my friend said that. He's like, he's not Sith. Well, even if he's not Sith, that doesn't mean he can't train other people.
No, exactly, yeah.
And I didn't like how Rey didn't use any of her Force powers to fight Snoke at all. Like, really? She's one of the strongest
She's
Force
supposed to be
users
so
we've seen.
Powerful.
Yeah, but she didn't even really put up a fight. Like, he dunked her in the back of the head with the lightsaber. He was like, bonk!
Well, it showed for at the time, because Kylo couldn't have killed Snoke one-on-one.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like, it was so rushed. It was like, we need to kill Snoke now.
Well, it's
even the setup for, like, honestly, Kylo Ren's entire character arc is set up to kill Snoke.
Yeah.
Because they implied at the end of Force Awakens that he was now Sith. Like, that Han Solo killing Han Solo strengthened him, not weakened him. But then in this movie, at the beginning, it split him in half, but only because Snoke is just shitting all over him, and then they completely abandon the whole Darth Vader thing. Like, his obsession with Darth Vader wasn't even mentioned. It was so heavy in the first film.
It's the change in the character. It's the change in the character.
But it was so quick. It's like... and again, this is just bias from watching The Force Awakens, which had a writer that won
the problem with
these
new this new trilogy is that it's penned and directed and done by multiple people. Not the same dude.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no coherent consistency. They didn't have The Force Awakens through film 9 planned out in advance. It's just, hey, I'm gonna start spitballing ideas for this, and then the next director came in and is like, I'm gonna do this with that, building off that. Yeah. This is what I'm gonna do, and then J.J. Abrams is gonna do it next. So my problems with The Last Jedi, Rey has no parent like connection to any of the characters, which I understand can be,
but it came out of nowhere. I get what they're trying to go for in the movie. Anyone can be a Jedi, but they didn't set that up for what the trilogy's message
It hinted
was.
at something else.
It hinted at something completely different, and then they switched it for this one because... And I don't even blame the guy. Like, I get it. He wants the money so he can make his own projects. Looper was amazing. He wants to make his own sci-fi projects. He's not worried about Disney breathing down his neck on whether or not he's going to create a good Star Wars movie. He's just going to go, is this good enough? And they're going to go, yes. And he's going to go, all right, there you go. Give me the money or whatever. Because now he's directing another trilogy.
Another Star Wars trilogy, yeah.
So, but... They switched from 3 of the greatest Star Wars writers. So, like, one guy has been on all the Star Wars made. But he had to go write Han Solo's story. The guy that made the movie Little Miss Sunshine, which is one of the best character development movies ever. He won, like, a bajillion awards. Just a bunch of awards for character development. And then J.J. Abrams, and I think there was another person. But a whole team to write The Force Awakens. Which, even though the plot was the same as New Hope,
still turned out the exact same as a previous film.
But the characters were interesting. You didn't know where they were going to go.
The characters are still interesting,
who gives a fuck what Poe's doing in this movie?
Everybody does. Like, who... Were you not interested in Poe in The Force Awakens at all?
I was interested in Poe in The Force Awakens because he's this great pilot, whatever... he never talked about being in command or whatever. And I get it, it's a new movie, so you can set it up.
He showed that he was in command of his own squadron.
But what did Poe accomplish? Like
nothing.
That's what I'm saying. They don't accomplish anything.
But that's the point.
That no one accomplished anything.
They failed. He thought he was so mighty and so good and so like gung ho. He's got everything. But for his character to fail completely and almost cause the death of the entire resistance, that's gonna have some lingering effects going into 9.
But it was done well at the beginning. That first part was done well. That implied, maybe you're not hot shit. But then they just kept
piling it on
the same thing for 2 hours and 35 minutes, and she, I don't know. In my opinion, Poe's plan was way fucking better than hers. Hers was a literal suicide. Like, Poe was right. Like, that was fucking stupid, and it got a bunch of people killed. And she was stupid because I still don't understand how she had to stay on the ship. She was doing nothing. She's like, someone's got to pilot the ship, and then she just fucking standing there like this. She's like, what's good? And then she's like, gotta fly it into the ship. And I'm like, okay, so you wrote her to stay behind literally for this scene. Which I don't know. I think I just nitpick, but that's just bad story writing. If you're literally making them do something just so they'll do another thing that you want later on in the film. Instead of them, having a clear path. Like the beginning. The beginning was really good. I don't even like Rose. I like Rose's sister, and she didn't even talk.
She died right away.
I know, but I was more interested in her whole thing than fucking Rose. Rose's introduction was just bad. It was out of nowhere. She's just all sobby, and it was pandering to kids. That's what it was.
Well, it's
Rose
Disney.
Star Wars was never like for kids.
Force Awakens was.
PG-13.
Force Awakens was totally like. People are saying that Last Jedi had a lot of comedy in it, but if you go back and watch Force Awakens, there is 10 times more comedy in it.
Different though. Because
what is the difference?
That comedy had timing. It had timing, and it never took away from the dramatic effect. In this movie, it took complete... What, General Huck? Is that his name?
Yeah, Hux.
Fucking what? He's literally useless. He is the most useless person in Star Wars ever. He could literally... he might as well shove a broomstick up his ass and mop the floor with him. What the fuck? He didn't even... Kylo Ren, if I had killed Snoke, right, and then he comes in, I'd have waxed his ass. He'd have been cut down because I'm, if he's gonna be Sith, he needs to be Sith. Kylo Ren is just some fucking schmuck in this movie. And I think that's what angers me the most, because I liked him in Force Awakens, and they're not taking a definitive stance. Still, we have
with his character.
But it's like when the final battle happens, he needs to be one or the other, and I don't want another whole movie for him to decide which one he is.
No, he has decided.
No, but he didn't have Sith eyes. He didn't have fucking. He's
not gonna be Sith. The whole point of this movie
I call them Sith
is the
eyes,
recreation of what it means to be a dark side or light side. That's the point. Because even in that's what Luke is saying, is it's not about there's both sides to it. What they should have done is introduce the Great Jedi.
Yes.
Because
yes,
Kylo might be a dark side user, but that doesn't mean you're Sith.
But that's what I'm saying. I call it Sith eyes, but they get the eyes not because they're Sith, but because they're channeling the Force's hate, and that's just how it affects their eyes. But he hasn't even done that, but they're implying he's so angry that he doesn't even realize that Luke's holding the lightsaber he broke.
The problem...
I don't believe that.
The problem with that one is that Sith only acquire those eyes after a significant loss, and Kylo hasn't lost anything.
He lost...
By his own choice.
He killed Han Solo?
By his own choice. Yes.
Oh, you're saying...
So, in the expanded universe, with Darth Caedus...
Okay.
Which is kind of, when I first watched The Force Awakens, I thought Ben Solo was going to follow Jason. He literally, he became so ostracized from his family. He cut all ties to everybody. Like, at one point, for him to become he wasn't even a full Sith when he died. To become full Sith, he had to kill, he was going to kill his wife and daughter.
But is that for the Sith religious aspect, or like the legitimate ability?
So this is where people get confused between Kylo Ren being a Sith Lord or Kylo Ren being a dark side user. Being a Sith Lord is something...
I think he's a dark side user.
He's a dark side user for sure.
But that's another thing. Is like, did it not anger you, but like, wouldn't it have been cool if Rey's ability was that she could go to either side like Revan and come back? Why did Luke say that and then talk nothing more about it?
They did.
He's like, you just went into the dark side like a fucking baller and came back unscathed.
Well, no, when that happened, he was like, "Fuck this, I'm not doing that at all."
But,
like,
you know, like, it's different because he's saying Ben crept into it. She fucking dove in head first, and
that's
he was
why
like, God.
We have another film, right? We have another film to hopefully. That's what I'm hopeful is that some of these issues that I have with the film will be resolved. Like, I really hope Kylo Ren's lying to her about saying you're nothing, because in The Force Awakens, there's so many nods. Like, you can definitely tell the directorial differences.
You can tell
there's so many nods to like
her being,
you know, from Han looking at Rey going like, in the lightsaber talking to her, and then Kylo Ren the first time hearing about her kind of hinting at a knowledge. Like, everybody kind of knew who she was without knowing who she was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that irks me a little bit. Like, that's one of my biggest issues. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of these issues I have with the film, I have issues with the film. It's not perfect, but as a Star Wars fan, knowing that hey, this something else could be. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't really. If I go back and watch the whole trilogy, I'll skip this one.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. My biggest, and I realized it today. My biggest issue with it is it's not the same dude going point A in the first movie of the trilogy to point C, ending it and knowing everything that happens in between.
Well, my friend James said that this felt very Attack of the Clones to him, where it's like Attack of the Clones, not shit really happened in it, to be honest. Like, if you took Attack of the Clones out and just went from 1 to 3, except for the whole, well, you know,
no, because Attack of the Clones sets
Anakin
off.
Grow up, but I guess he meant in like generally.
I don't agree with that statement. Attack of the Clones had a lot of progression for Anakin as a character, and leading into the turmoil that sets in motion Palpatine rising to power.
I think what he meant was more of like the Tatooine stuff, the extra. There was a lot of extra.
There was a lot of filler.
The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi had a lot of fill in it.
He considered it filler because it's like, I doubt they're gonna use any of the shit with Poe, to be honest. Like, Poe will just be the leader probably in this one. Finn, I hope they just do better. It was kind of heartbreaking to see them build up Finn as this cool thing. But J.J. Abrams said that, you know...
I disagree with your assumption of Finn's character development. I think he actually... So at the end of Force Awakens, the only reason he stood up to Kylo is because of Rey. That is the only reason. That's the reason he went to Starkiller Base. It wasn't to help the Resistance.
No,
it wasn't to help the... If Rey was out of that whole thing, he wouldn't have gone to Starkiller Base. There's no fucking way.
Probably not. Yeah.
So the reason he was so brave is for Rey. The reason he's still a coward at the beginning of The Last Jedi is the same reason he was a coward in The Force Awakens, and that's because he's afraid of the First Order because he knows what they can do. And then he has this progression where he realizes if it's not him who stands up to the First Order, if it's not him and these people, what are they going to do? And there's that moment at the very end where he's like, I'm just going to fucking kill myself to save people. And that to me was brilliant.
Okay, I can kind of see that now, because it's like that makes Benicio del Toro's role make a little more sense, where he's explaining, you know, they're trading guns to both sides. You have no help.
Yeah.
Like, you're it.
Yeah, I'm it. Like, I'm going to fucking do it and fuck everybody else.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm upset about.
I don't care about Rose as a character. Like, it didn't matter to me one way or another.
Yeah. I'm upset
the
about
reason I like Canto Blight is because it kind of opened up Finn to going, there are other people in this universe that need people like you, people that you can become. And he realized that seeing all these slave kids and everything like that, it was a journey of self-discovery for him being on Canto Blight. And for Poe, it was a journey of failure because he thought, I'm right. Like, everything I can do is I'm going to be right. And while I get the film has its issues, there's people want to hate it, but they don't want to think about what this could mean. Like, you just told me that makes a little more sense with Finn being a coward at the beginning, and then kind of like he was a badass hero at the end. Fucking, he was like, I'm done. Fuck this thing. I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, I thought it was very Star Wars if he had died in that movie.
I didn't want him to die.
I thought it would have been very Star Wars. But no, what I meant was that upset me was how in The Force Awakens, Finn was so, like, hated by the First Order. Like, literally every single person that saw him was like, traitor. They called him traitor.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing.
Kylo Ren.
And J.J. Abrams was like, Chewbacca did not kill, what's his name? The guy that got shot was not dead. Because it was gonna play out later that Finn's squad mates that have a pull on him, which I think would have been a better way to keep him afraid, is if he knew people still alive in the First Order, where he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm still afraid because I know that this person is alive.
He was still afraid at the beginning.
Yeah, well
but
I'm saying...
But the First Order still hates him, too.
Well. I'm saying it's there, and I notice it now.
It just
more.
isn't in the forefront.
Exactly.
I get
and
that.
And it should have been more...
Yeah, and it only really shows up near the end when Phasma's like, you, and he's like, you, and
which was a bad encounter. Like,
you think so?
She should have called him traitor. She did every other time, and then, like, there was no hate behind it. She was just like, you're scum, and I'm like... Everybody says, the whole fucking rebel scum
how
shit.
Many times are you gonna how many times are you subconsciously gonna go, yeah, I get it, he's a fucking traitor. Everybody calls him that.
I'm not saying traitor in particular. I'm saying literally what you're saying right now, I'm done with the whole scum and rebel shit. Call them something original that shows how much you hate him.
It's overplayed.
If you're saying scum, you're literally just calling him the same shit you're calling everyone else.
Yeah.
Finn is not significant in your hatred against the
It wasn't that wasn't done well. You're right, but while we as viewers know that there is an underlying theme and there is that hatred, somebody going into it wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And I do disagree with the assumption that if Luke was taken out of the film, it would play out the same way. I don't agree with that.
I'm saying you could change it so that he would like.
Do I like how they handled Luke Skywalker?
Not even Luke Skywalker likes how they handled
I don't like how they handled Luke Skywalker. It's one of my... And that's not just this movie. That's in The Force Awakens as well. The whole concept... No, not just that. The fact that he ran and hid. I get it. That's what Jedi do.
But I felt like there was backstory for that. Like, here's... I don't know if you felt the same way. But when they revealed him trying to kill Ben, I was like, that was just made up. They made that up for this film. There was no way in hell that was written down on paper when they made The Force Awakens, that was how the backstory was going to go. How they were going to describe the fall of the Jedi Temple. Literally, the entire backstory of an entire genocide of kids. Or not genocide, but like slaughtering of kids and taking these important characters that we can use in the future was summed down to one village cabin that got collapsed down on Obi-Wan. Or not Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker.
They did use the footage of Luke's hand coming out of the rubble from The Force Awakens in The Last Jedi, though.
Yeah. So it was like, yeah, but that was it.
I think that was planned out, though.
No. I think that that's how he survives. I think there was an attack.
But you don't think that it was set up to be that
Absolutely
Luke
not.
went up?
So, I do not think that was... There's no way, because why would J.J. Abrams focus so heavily on these flashbacks or that Rey had that shows significance of these three individuals cornering a child? Like there was more footage of the temple than just this little hut. That he comes out of.
But that's from Luke's perspective, not Kylo's, right? So we still don't know what happens from when Luke becomes unconscious and wakes up and everything's on fire from the point where he tries. It makes...
Which is good, because that means that in the third film, they could put that in. But at the same time, it pisses me off that you're telling me Rey didn't think to ask what happened with the kids.
She found out, though.
No, she didn't.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? With the Jedi kids? How she found out?
You mean the ones that Kylo took, or the other ones?
The ones that Kylo
took. We don't know about that.
She didn't ask any other questions except for, did Luke try to kill you? That was it. And I'm like, you have no other questions.
Does she
you don't know why Snoke turned him. You don't know why this and this. Like,
does she? But she doesn't care about his character.
She
up
needs
until the
to.
very
end. They want this whole thing to work where they're like,
and
we need to get rid of
show that they pulled that in, right? But they reeled it back at the end. I think they're gonna go further with it. But they showed, because she was calling him a monster at the beginning. He goes, "Yes, I am." And then later she's like, "Let me help you. Let me pull you back over." And he's like, "Why don't you just join me?" They show that he's got that.
And honestly, that was done well, because I was more convinced that he could turn her to the Sith before. Like he was convincing me better than Palpatine was convincing Anakin. He was convincing, or she was convincing him to turn.
Can we agree that like just the minute acting changes, like how Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, like just in like Carrie Fisher, also like even in the moments where they don't say anything, just the fucking acting was on point.
Yeah, well, but honestly, it hurts it because when I'm seeing Kylo Ren and Rey do an amazing performance, even with the bad
story
shape
that they've got.
Yeah, they flip back to like Poe or Finn, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I want to know what's going on with the main shit because this is ultimate. It's turning up to nothing. And if they really wanted Finn to not be completely lost and have literally been none of this stuff matter, is Phasma should have lived. Yeah, and something should have happened between them that would have made it carry on into the next movie. Or another squad mate comes forward. Something to show that, you know, whatever Finn does in this film is going to affect the next film. I just didn't feel that.
Well, it's not really...
Not character-wise, but actually...
Like, so what you're saying is, like, in The Force Awakens, they had some kind of... Well, some of the characters, more so than this one, had an impact on what's going on.
Yeah, well, it was like, in Force Awakens, he's so cowardly to the point where you're like, he's going to be fucking useless if we don't change him by the next movie. You know, and Rey, and they got rid of the Force staff so fucking quick. So
the
fucking
what?
quick.
Oh, her
I didn't
staff?
even notice it until I watched it the second time, and I was like, holy shit, she had the staff, and then she just doesn't have it.
Yeah, she doesn't have it at all.
Which was implied that could have been a Force artifact. But
no, it was just junk.
All right, so I think we'll call this one...
You want to call it already?
Well, let's call this one the Frozen in 3D movie review.
We can do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
But
so
we should have a part 2 to this because there's so much more.
Yeah,
that I'd like to discuss.
We should bring in Brian and Daniel to talk about it too.
I'm really surprised you don't like it as much as you do because there's parts of it that I don't like, but.
The only part I actually enjoyed legitimately was their mind link thing was really cool, and how they were trying.
I like
the
new
Force
connection
now.
I like that the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi are willing to create new Force powers for their characters.
Yeah, but what did they create in this one?
The Force apparition. Well, they didn't. They never created anything, honestly. But
like, if you don't read the books and stuff,
it's all new.
That shit was just like. They still didn't even explain it. Like, I guess, you know, he's floating over a rock. It's implied, but at the same time, you know, there's like that stupid ass Han Solo dice that came out of nowhere that weren't in multiple movies.
They are though, actually. If you look back on the original trilogy, they're up on top of the Falcon. Nobody ever fucking notices them. Though.
Besides that, why did they disappear?
Because it was also a Force apparition. Because Luke put it there, that's why Leia left it there, because she knew.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like he just I don't know. Maybe it was the directing. Maybe he didn't put enough emphasis on certain things, and that's what bugged me. But honestly, for me, it was just the character development. I'm a sucker for, like, Vikings is my favorite TV show, and that's just all characters. So maybe that's what it is. But
I think some, like, there's a lot of the thing I have that most, like, just the qualm I have with most people who don't like this film is they just I don't like certain parts of the film. I don't like that they killed off Luke Skywalker, right? I don't like that they ended that era the way that they did.
Well, they're trying to get rid of all the Skywalkers. They're trying to get rid of the old era and move into a new. And it's
why?
Because that's just the guy that directed this movie said that he would literally write something and take it to Disney and be like, "Is this okay?" And they change it, and then he'd come back, and then he'd go back to them.
Like I said earlier in the beginning of this,
I think that's why the writers left. I don't know.
I couldn't
find it. I googled everywhere. No one knows.
Disney's hiding it.
Yeah, like no one knows why they left. And J.J. Abrams read their script for the second movie, and apparently J.J. Abrams was talking about how, like, you know, I regret leaving the series. You know, I wish I was directing this movie. I refuse to believe that this was the thing he was talking about. I mean, we're talking about J.J. Abrams. Star Trek is fucking amazing, and so is...
You know,
You know,
a lot of fucking Star Trek fans don't like his Star Trek movies. Though,
well, Beyond was we're stretching it out. I think that's why you left.
I think
Beyond was all right. It just they need to stop doing repeats.
As a Star Wars fan, if they didn't touch any new film, like I'm grateful that there's new films coming out. It's not the same to me though.
Yeah, it never will be, and maybe that's another issue.
Maybe that's what everybody's qualms are. I don't treat it like the same.
We gotta end this one, but we'll definitely talk about this again because I do have some things that I liked about the fighting choreography.
Like the choreography was great. Like the fucking throne scene. That's some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen.
That was really cool. And then
I think we've dwelled on the negative. I think we should talk about the positive next time.
Yeah. So this we kind of got the stuff out. I got everything that I'm
glad you vented.
Yeah, I needed.
And I don't hold anything against you for trashing a movie I really liked.
Again, I don't hate the movie. I just don't.
You had
think
your issues
in comparison to other Star Wars movies. I thought it was.
And I agree with
lacking.
I agree with that statement. I mean, I think the trilogy is weaker in total.
Yeah.
But oh well. Tune in next time. Later, guys.